Hi, y'all. It's Dana, and today's Sunday, and I thought today would be a really good day to go ahead and finally show you guys how to make your own sanitizing spray that you can use, obviously, for your hands, or that you can even use kind of cleaning around the house. Before we get into this, I want to say a few things about using sanitizers. Um, I'm not a fan of them. I think that they're widely overused. And when we get rid of too much bacteria, which sometimes means removing the good bacteria, our bodies can get out of balance. And again, then our immune system can go kind of freaky and want to treat everything as bad instead of recognizing some of it as good. So, obviously, the best thing that you can do, and the CDC and the World Health Organization say the same, is washing your hands. There's not anything that's going to replace good hygiene in washing your hands. And washing your hands means soap and water for at least 20 seconds, getting in between, scrubbing the nail beds. 20 seconds isn't that long. Get in there and really rub those hands. Get a good rinse. You're going to be pretty okay. Sanitizers come into play when you don't have opportunities to wash your hands with soap and water, um, or, yeah, you're on the go, or in a classroom, or just in a setting where maybe that's not always feasible. Um, that's when you want to use your sanitizer. Now, the recipe I'm going to teach you guys to make today is a colloidal Thieves spray. And what I've done is taken a traditional Thieves spray and now incorporated a higher grain alcohol. The other day I was talking and I mentioned vodka. Vodka is not going to be appropriate to make a hand sanitizing spray because the proof of alcohol isn't high enough, so the alcohol content isn't going to be high enough. Most vodkas are going to be about 80% alcohol, or an 80 proof, which means it's going to be about 40% alcohol by volume. And that's too low when you're looking at wanting to make something that is going to be sanitizing. The lowest they really want to see you at is at about a 60% uh, ratio of alcohol in your mix. So when doing this, you always want to keep that in mind. So you're going to have some math to do. This isn't just about dumping some things together. If you're going to be making a sanitizing spray. So, with that being said, what I use for the sanitizing spray is Everclear, and I apologize. I know this is backwards, but it is what it is. I like to see myself so I can see how goofy I look when I'm talking. Anyway, so Everclear, and this is a half-gallon jug, and I've made my stuff in larger quantities, but I'll give you directions on how to make smaller quantities if you don't want to make like a half gallon at a time. So, to begin, what I did was you'll start with, for me, I use mason jars. I love them, they're great. This is a half gallon mason jar, and I do an herbal infusion. So with our colloidal Thieves spray, what I have done, and I went ahead so you guys didn't have to watch me mix all the herbs together, was I went ahead and pre-mixed them in a bowl. And actually, I need to get the camera over here so I can show you how gorgeous this is, because it truly becomes incredibly artistic when you're making extracts or sprays or whatever, because before everything gets blended together, they're so beautiful with the different textures and the different colors and of the herbs. So I'm gonna grab this and then try to point it. Look at that beautiful mix. Just gorgeous, isn't it? Okay, so that is the herb mix that I have. And so what I have in there is 50 grams of lavender, uh, 35 grams of lemon peel, 35 grams of cloves, 25 grams of rosemary, 20 grams of eucalyptus, 20 grams of Ceylon cinnamon, 15 grams of thyme, and 10 grams of spearmint. And I guess I did wait for the last herb in there to dump just because I wanted you guys to see how pretty he is. But what I do is I take my scale and I zero my scale out. And a lot of times this will be my measuring cup, so I'll zero it out. And then I weigh my herbs in here, which this ended up being 20 grams of eucalyptus. Boom. Added to the mix, so our mix is complete. And so what you will do is take this and you will fill your mason jar. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that, kind of scoop this in. Try not to spill it. It smells so good too, and the herbs aren't even, you know, super opened up yet. So, oh, okay, almost done. Minimal spillage. Boom. Okay, so got that done. And what you're looking for is about 2/3 of your jar being full. Okay, so I got my jar, and then you take your Everclear and I get my knife. Sorry. I like to pop the little top out so I can just dump it in. So all you're going to do is cover your herbs, and you'll leave about 1 inch at the top. Oops, spilled some. At the top of your jar to give it a little room to breathe. So it's not quite a full, but over time, over the weeks, I just go and I keep adding because some evaporates out. And so eventually you'll have your full half gallon. Okay? And then you just cover it. And I'll give it a shake. Okay. And then this is going to go in a dark cabinet, and I'll roll by once or twice a day. I'll pull it out of the cabinet. I'll give it a good shake like I am now. And then I'll put it back in the cabinet, and I'll leave it there 2 to 4 weeks. The mix I have here is right at 4 weeks. And I want to show you, it's very interesting how the herbs have separated. And it does this every day, every time when I go to shake it. But it looks pretty cool. So this has been infusing for about 4 weeks. You could do 2, but a stronger infusion is really going to be, 4 weeks or so. Okay, so now what I need to do is grab my next jar and begin straining. And so let me go wash this off real quick. So with the straining, you can use a really fine micron strainer, something like this. There's a mesh cloth that you can buy that you can strain through, or you can use an unbleached coffee filter. And that's what I'll be using today. And I like to use a funnel, and then this guy here, it holds everything into place, so I don't have to hold on to my filter, because it'll get sucked down in there sometimes and it can be a mess. So now, good Lord, if I can open it. All right. So now we're going to begin pouring. And at first, so with this, you got to be careful so you don't go up above the top of the strainer, or your mix will leak out. And honestly, a little bit quicker of a way to do this, so we don't have to watch this strain all day, is to strain it a couple times. And so this is where I like to take my very fine micron strainer and go ahead and dump, and it's just straining out. So obviously this takes some time. Sorry, I got focused on straining and not looking up at you guys. So sorry about that. Need to do a little bit better about paying attention to what I'm doing. And so I'll just kind of help that along. Kind of press that through. And it helps just to kind of move the herbs around, and that'll help it strain through. Try not to press too hard, because then you get more fine particles in there. And all right, so I'm going to go ahead and go throw this away. And just so I can make sure I've gotten every little bit I can, I'll dump more of this in there. And you just want to make sure that you don't get the bits and pieces, but that's okay if you get some in there. It's not going to make a difference, because we're gonna strain it one more time. We've gotten everything out of that. Okay, so now, and I got some in there, but again, not a big deal, because we're gonna come back over here, get our jar, and I'm gonna go ahead and help this along a little bit. Okay. All right. So we're going to take that. I'm going to go rinse this guy. And I've got too much sediment in that one. So here I am back to holding my deal. I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to kind of hang on to it. And we're just going to let this pour. We're going to let this strain. So while that's straining, you guys get the idea on that. You'll strain that down, and then most all of the sediment should be removed. If not, if you're using a spray bottle, you do want to make sure you remove that, as much of that as possible, so you don't clog up your little sprayer. Those things can be pretty finicky. So this is going to strain down, and then it'll be ready to bottle. Okay. Well, it won't be ready to bottle, but it'll be ready to go to the next phase. And so from there, like, to make a half-gallon mix, so a half-gallon total, I would use a total of 5 1/3 cups of this infusion, the Everclear infusion. So that's about 44 ounces. And let's see. So we're getting there. But we'll keep letting that strain. And actually, I'm going to pause the video for a little bit so you don't have to keep watching it, and then I'll turn it back on. So hang on. Okay, so got it strained, and we have about 4 1/2 cups in our jar. And so for me to make a half-gallon mix, I want my mix to be, like I said, 66% of my alcohol infusion. Okay, my Everclear alcohol infusion. And so to make a half-gallon, 66% of that is going to be about 43 ounces, or 5 1/3 cups. So I have a little bit less than that, so I'll have to adjust. But let's see, we've got, probably end up making a smaller batch than a half-gallon. So here we have 2 cups. And I spilled some. I spill all the time. So there's 2 cups. So let's do a 1/4 gallon. And so what I'm doing is cutting in half my recipe. So for this, I only need 2 2/3. So there's another. So there was 2. Oh, I already put 2 in. And so we're looking for 2/3 of a cup. A little bit. A bit more. Okay. All right. And there's my 2/3. So 2 2/3 cup of my Everclear infusion. And then I want 2/3 cup of colloidal silver, which I have here. And I'll mix that in. Okay. Let's see. Dump that in. And we want 2/3 of a cup of aloe vera juice. And of course that's going to be next to impossible. Okay, 2/3 cup aloe juice. That's going to make it nicer on the hands and the skin, because colloidal can be a bit drying, but It's a really great ad. So 2/3 cup of my aloe juice, and then 1 tablespoon of our antimicrobial mix. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in the measuring. That's more than enough. And I added the antimicrobial because why not? And because it's a glycerin extract, and so glycerin again is going to help cut back on the harshness of the alcohol content. It's really good for the skin. And so again, we're just looking for 1 tablespoon of our antimicrobial mix. Boom. And there we go. If you don't obviously have the antimicrobial mix, you can use just plain glycerin. You can infuse herbs into glycerin if you want, or vitamin E. And vitamin E is great, and it also helps stabilize things, just like alcohol does. And so from there, really, I mean, that's pretty much it. I'm going to put my jar back on, my lid, give it a good shake, and boom, it's ready to go into a sprayer. So really pretty easy, but you need to really make sure that you're sticking to the guidelines, okay? Thieves spray is really great as an antimicrobial, and it helps with sinus issues. And you can even take this mix and warm it on the stove to smell, as a just to diffuse. Not in this mix, not with the alcohol. But if you have like a thieves oil where you do an infusion, you can. But yeah, no, don't take your alcohol mix and put it on the stove. But so thieves is used for a great number of things. And so anyway, we will put the directions so you can make varying sizes, anywhere from 16 ounces up. And we really hope that you find this helpful, and I'm sorry for rambling. Doing the best that I can. It's not always easy getting on here and trying to sound like somebody who has some kind of sense. And there we go. My phone is ringing. So we will put this at an end. Sorry, my phone talks. Anyway, we'll go ahead and end this video. And like I said, we'll get the exact measurements up so you can make your own. And if not, it's something that we'll have available for sale. We do have available now for sale on the Nature Gal Naturals website, on Facebook. As far as the website goes, we're down to the last bits, and it'll be a blessing when it's done. There's a lot more back end stuff than I ever had realized in doing that, but we've got great help and some wonderful people, helping us work on that. So, anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope that you're finding some really awesome activities to get involved with. I myself am going to go outside into the windstorm, but it's sunny, and go on a hike and just see what I can't get into. So we love you guys dearly. Please be safe. Reach out if you need help. And my time's freeing up more, so I will be on more to be more present, because I haven't been very present, and I apologize. I've been pulled in a lot of different directions, and thank God for Lisa and Brenda and everybody else who keep the groups going and information flowing. So I hope you have a beautiful day, and always be the good, Be the helper and be the change that you seek in this world, because each one of us has the ability to make that change. And right now, the history of our world is being written, and every single one of us is an author. So let's write a good book, okay? We have the opportunity to try and invoke some real change to help out the human race and Mother Earth. So much gratitude for you guys allowing me into your lives. And again, much love. Have a beautiful day.